My child is being bullied at school. I'm at wit's end. I don't know what to do. Could Brazilian Jiu Jitsu be the solution to my problem? That's this week's question of the week that we're going to tackle this week. I am al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu Jitsu here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm here to tackle this week's question of the week. So, bullying is an unfortunate reality that every child is going to experience in their lifetime. Some children only for a grade or two, for a time, maybe a short time, they experience bullying. And some children experience bullying from kindergarten through 12th grade. Their whole life, they just get bullied. And it just is relentless. The bullies don't stop. They just keep going. This unfortunately leads to kids dropping out, withdrawing from society, severe depression, suicide. So many bad things happen from bullying. And, the solution, parents are at wit's end. They try to, contact the school. Often there's nothing the school can do or nothing the school will do. They try contacting law enforcement. Once again, sometimes that helps, sometimes it's a no-go. They try contacting the bully's parents. Sometimes that helps, sometimes the bully's parents, I can see where the bully learned it from. Their parents are just straight garbage too. It's like, ugh. And parents, you're at wit's end. It's like, what do I do? And then one of our law enforcement officers was talking about this week, they had to respond to a school because this 15-year-old was bullying a younger kid in middle school. And so the law enforcement officer thought he was there to deal with the bully. No, the child who's being bullied, their mother had threatened the 15-year-old. And so that school called the police on the mother. Was the mother wrong to threaten the 15-year-old? Absolutely. But do I understand why she did? Absolutely, because her child is suffering. She doesn't know what to do. And, so she had tried contacting the school. She had tried other methods. And then she ends up resorting to threatening violence. And now she has legal problems. But the problem is that her child may continue to be bullied by this bully. And it's like, whoa, what do you do? So the situation just has now gotten so much worse for them. And we have to teach our children how to defend themselves because the bullies of the world exist. And I talk about it from just a child's perspective of K through 12, but the reality is, there's bullies, there's adults that get bullied. I would see that in the Navy. I would see, in my years in the Navy, I would see young sailors or even like sometimes young officers who weren't very confident, and they would get bullied by a bigger, stronger person. And, not necessarily physically bullied, but just intimidated. And it doesn't stop. Like I remember I had to chastise one of my last assignments in the Navy. I had to chastise this group that was bullying a young officer. And I'm like, don't ever let me catch you treating him like that again. And so I ended up bullying them. And then I had that young officer come down and train jiu-jitsu with me because I realized that this young person had experienced bullying through their whole life, and now they were an adult and they were being bullied, and he just never had the self-confidence to stand up to the bullies of the world. And so that's why it's so important to train our kids early on, because the bullying doesn't stop. Ideally it will, but oftentimes it does not. And I'm not advocating violence, teaching kids to be violent to one another, but the reality is I don't want children to be bullied, and putting a blue shirt on them for bully awareness isn't going to solve the problem. Putting one of these uniforms on them can solve the problem. Now, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or Judo or any other martial art that you choose, it's not magic. You can be a well-trained martial artist and still lose a fight. But the hope is, the plan is, to give our children a skill set to where they can stand up to the bully. So when they tell the bully, no, leave me alone. No, don't touch me. No, don't take that from me. There's more behind their no than hope. They have a skill set behind that no. And that's my solution in how I think martial arts can help our children stand up to the bullies of the world. Because some of the worst advice I've ever heard parents give is like, oh, just, you come from a fighting family, just punch that bully in the face. Well, let's say the child is in 6th grade. Bullies are normally bigger, stronger, more athletic than their victims. And maybe the person bullying them is in the 8th grade. You telling your child who doesn't know how to fight to punch that bully in the face is a horrible idea. It's not going to go well for them. It's not going to be like some magical movie where it all turns out great, they never get bullied again. No, most likely it's going to lead to a pretty severe beating. So give your children the skills. And martial arts can give your children the skills to be able to stand up for themselves. And I know it's an overwhelming situation. And as a martial arts school owner, I would much rather train a child to be able to stand up to bullies, to give them the confidence to stand up to bullies, than train the next UFC champion or the next Brazilian Jiu Jitsu world champion. I would much be much more proud to train that child, to help them and give them skills that can help them throughout their life. And if there's not a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu program available to you or a Judo program, there's karate, there's boxing, there's wrestling, taekwondo, give them some skills that can help them. I recommend Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Judo because with the grappling arts, your child can take the bully to the ground and they don't have to do further damage. They don't have to punch them on the ground. They can control them on the ground. And then, until an adult breaks up the fight. So it doesn't have to go further where, like, if you're teaching them punches and kicks, those punches and kicks that you're teaching them could do some severe damage. And a lot of times when a fight happens, once punches and kicks are being thrown, it's hard to determine who was the aggressor. We had a child that has been in our program for a number of years who was being bullied. I think she was in the 6th grade when this incident happened, and there was an 8th grade girl that was bullying her that was significantly bigger than her. And the bully got hurt. And the child that hurt her would have been in trouble, except the bully's friends, in anticipation for the bully beating up the child, recorded the whole thing. So you saw the bully charge the child from across the playground, throw the punch at the child, and then the child did a judo hip toss and introduced the bully to the ground in a violent, unpleasant way. And the fight was over. Now, am I happy the bully was hurt? No, I'm not happy any child gets hurt. But the bully made the determination that violence was going to happen. So I don't want the child that was intended to be the victim to be the one hurt. If somebody's going to get hurt, I would much rather it be the bully than the victim. And so once the school saw this, because of course, the bully's parents were like, oh, our child would never bully anybody. And then the video evidence is like, yes, your child started this entire thing. So give your children this skill set. Skill set of martial arts, learning how to defend themselves will not only benefit them currently at their age, but benefit them through their lives. It always helped me in my military career when I was dealing with, in the military environment, you're dealing with alpha males, you're dealing with big, strong, tough dudes. And in the back of my mind, I was like, hey, things get out of control. I have a skill set that can handle this. And that helped me tremendously. Whether I was studying boxing in the 80s or Hapkido in the 90s or Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in the 2000s, I always knew I had a skill set that could help me, if things went south. So, highly encourage you to sign your child up for a martial arts program and teach your child how they can defend themselves if they have to. All right, that's it for this week's question of the week. If anybody else has some feedback on their experience with dealing with bullies, or maybe being bullied as a child, or the parent of a child that is bullied, please feel free to comment below. And that way we as a group can learn and grow from this. All right, thank you. Ciao.